When choosing a zoom, you have to decide between the financial price and the creative price. So I have found my middle ground in the Sony 24-70 GM Mark II, but as an FX6 user, it's quite frequent that you will see the 28-135, which on paper checks off so many boxes. It's got image stabilization, it's got autofocus, it's got linear manual focus, it's got a servo zoom. The only thing is it is 10 years old. And I believe there should be a Mark II coming, but since it doesn't exist yet, let's go to the lenses that do exist. So Fujinon has been working this whole time on a crazy lens. The Duvo series, they have the 24-300, which covers super 35 size sensors. Now, the reason this is crazy is because to get anywhere near this type of range before, you had to use B4 lenses and you had to put them on very small sensor cameras or really window down or expand the image up a lot. And it was nowhere near as clear as what it's offering now. It's just way out of my price range. $32,000 is not for me. I'm not at that career level yet. But I do want to show you what is possible with this type of lens. So Dom, the DP, is it's a guy on YouTube. He works for NFL Films, I believe, or a specific team. But he has amazing footage, and he posts this because the Duvo is not out yet, I don't believe. Maybe it is. Maybe it is fully released, but there's footage. So look at this. Look at this wide end of the lens, shallow depth of field, extremely clear, sharp, no chromatic aberration, no distortion, no vignetting, all of those problems that you kind of had to deal with those really old B4 lenses. Like, this is a ridiculous step up. And the fact that he can be running around and get these up close and personal standard zoom focal lengths, wides, and then jump in. Oh, look at, okay, that was perfect. This type of separation is not possible on B4 lenses. It's possible on all the modern lenses we use with the modern sensor sizes, but now we're bringing those together. So he can go from this very stylized shot into this type of gameplay shot, where he is using one finger to manipulate the zoom ring, the other one to manage the focus ring, and be at any point in the field, any distance, close or far from the character, and be able to get an amazing shot. That takes a bunch of skill, and you have to have the right tool for the job. And this Duvo lens is amazing. Now, they have a little brother to it. Unfortunately, it does not have a little brother price. It's still 32 grand, but both of these lenses, the 14-100 and the 24-300, have these expanders built in, which allow for full frame coverage. So when you do the 1.5 multiplication factor to make it cover a full frame sensor, you get 36-450, absolutely ridiculous. But the little brother is the one that would be more useful for me. I prioritize that wide angle, especially for the establishing shots that I need in a lot of my work. So when you do the times factor, it becomes a 21-150, which I think would be an absolute dream lens. That would, you lose a little bit of light when you enable the expander, but that would absolutely cover anything that my type of work throws at me. The lenses are bigger, they're heavier than these, but they operate the exact way that I would love to have. Still out of my price range though, cannot do it, cannot swing it. So let's go to what is closer to being in my realm. I have a couple buddies who swear by this lens. It's $100 off right now. And at 35, you're decently wide, and 150, you're pretty tight. With f2.8 all the way through, and then it gets a little brighter at the wide end. This is kind of the all-in-one type of lens at a crazy price point that you really cannot beat unless your projects require image stabilization on the lens and servo control. The biggest issue I have with it, which is not small, or which is not that big, is I just wish this lens was the full length when it's extended. At 35, it's compact like this. When you zoom it to 150, it gets to about this tall. And I just wish the lens was that tall at all times. There was no distance change. That way, when I have it balanced on a shoulder rig, it stays balanced. At the end of this, there's one ridiculous lens. Like, this is a great option. And then the new Sigma 28-105 is also a great option. It's not out yet, it's not released, but I believe this is just a little lighter. It still has the same thing where the lens extends. However, they have added the aperture ring, which I use so much, and it's on here. Finally, this could be that kind of sweet spot. Okay, now I want to show you the crazy one. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but there is a Laowa 12-120 T4 Super 35 zoom. If you are familiar with working on Super 35, 12 is ridiculous. That was the focal length that I would use when I would shoot real estate, and we needed to have everything. We needed to have 3 walls in the shot. You can do that with 12 mil on Super 35. So I like the direction that these other lenses are going. Wide focal ranges, aimed for video, but this is nuts. Like, this is crazy. I'm gonna play this, but they teamed up with Movcam, and so there is a servo unit on here. But this lens is big. It has kind of the style of that Duvo lens, with the aperture ring. I love that this focus ring is beveled, so as the operator, you can kind of see what the focus marking is rather than it being like this. And when you're getting to zooms of this range, that is how big and heavy they are when you're trying to cover huge sensors like Super 35 and full frame. But this is absolutely crazy. 12-120. If you did do some type of expander or something, that would be what? 18 to 180 almost on full frame. 18 to 180. And the T4 I think would jump to T5.6. So 18 to 180, T5.6. Definitely need a lot of output for that type of minimum T-stop, but for sports I can see that when you're under stadium lights. For any exterior work, the direction that these lens manufacturers are going is exactly where I want them to go, but this is crazy. It's not out yet. I think it's more of like a proof of concept. I'm not sure when they will be shipping, but is anybody else in this range where they are looking for these zooms because they, as professionals, you want to find the tool that fits your work best? And for me, currently, price to utility, this 24-70 is great, but it's getting tempting now that there's more options, there's more releases. If anybody has any experience with these Duvos, please let me know how they perform and what system you're using them on. And then for the others, which one of these are you choosing? Have you chosen? Will you be choosing? I'm super interested in this wide focal range zooms for modern cameras type of discussion. And I can't wait to see what comes out, and if there is eventually, 10 years later, a Mark II of this.